Hi everyone and welcome to Fresh from My Garden. Have you ever faced an issue where you purchased a potted plant from the nursery and after a couple of months or even a few weeks, we see that the plant is not growing or is even dying back? So, this is something that I have experienced with a couple of potted plants, and there is a reason why this happens. So, I'm going to share that today in this video and what we can do about it. If you have been watching my channel regularly, please don't forget to subscribe and support our channel for more gardening videos. This is an Aralia plant that we purchased from the nursery a couple of months back and it hasn't been repotted. It is still growing in the same pot in which it was purchased. And since we had some work going on at home, we couldn't get to repotting many of the plants that we purchased. But over a period of time, we can notice that this plant is starting to die back. And when there was heavy rains, we noticed that there is a small starter pot that is inside this main pot. This starter pot is usually used in a lot of nurseries for propagation of plants and also germination of seeds. So, there are two kinds of starter pots that we can see in many of the nursery plants. One is this plastic starter pot, and another is the jiffy bag. Jiffy bags are used for pots with a very shallow root system like Phytonias, and those plants require more moisture in order to propagate well. And these plastic pots are used for cuttings like Aralias and other plants. Now, as you can see, I'm trying to separate the starter pot from the main pot, but it is really difficult because the roots have gone through that pot into the main pot and it is causing this plant to deteriorate and not grow well. The main reason why this plant is not growing well is because the roots don't have enough room to spread into and grow. Now I'm going to carefully try to detach this plant and the small pot from the main container so that we can save this plant and make sure that it is repotted and it grows well. I have carefully loosened the soil and I have taken out the starter pot, and you can see that the roots are going out through all the gaps in the starter pot and it is not allowing this plant to expand its roots well and grow properly. So now what we need to do is cut this plastic pot carefully in such a way that it doesn't damage the roots of this plant. So I'm going to carefully cut each and every part of the starter pot and get it away from the roots. And it's a little difficult to do without damaging the roots, but I'm going to try my best to make sure that none of the roots get damaged in the process. So, this is an issue that is seen with a lot of plants that we bring home from the nursery because all the propagation is done in such small pots, and without removing these small pots, once the plant is propagated well, they directly use that small plastic pot and plant it into a bigger container. So, over a period of time, the roots get choked within that small tiny space and causes the plant to stop growing or even die back completely. Now I have carefully and successfully removed the plant from this plastic pot that had been choking its roots completely. And once I removed it, I noticed that there are actually two plants in this small tiny pot instead of one. So that was definitely not the best way for it to be planted, and that was completely stopping it from growing. Now, whenever we get new plants from the nursery, we must check to see if the plants are planted in this condition so that we can separate them and repot them before they overgrow the small plastic pot inside. So now that I have separated my plants from the tiny container, we can repot it into a bigger container or into the ground. So I have some space here in my front garden where I'm going to plant this, and hopefully this will grow well since the roots haven't been damaged too much. Please do check for this issue whenever you get newly purchased plants from the nursery, and if they are planted in the starter pot, make sure to repot them really soon after you bring them home. So I hope you liked today's video. Please do keep supporting and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching Fresh from my garden.